following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
Taping, Cal.
It's lean, bro. Watch the work of pilots here.
Go ahead, son.
Push play. Yes. Here we go.
Last summer, the world's largest celebration of soccer came to America. The Brazilians dazzled us with their beautiful game, and in the end, were once again champions of the world. The months have passed quickly, and international soccer has returned to America. The United States team is back. Balboa, Lawless, Winalda, reunited today to battle their neighbor and nemesis from south of the border, Mexico. ABC Sports. U.S. Cup 95. And we welcome you to RFK Stadium in our nation's capital, where today the United States will play Mexico. And the standings so far in U.S. Cup 95, the United States and Colombia, both with victories over Nigeria, and each the U.S. and Colombia with 3 points so far. The remaining games, Mexico will take on Colombia here at RFK on June 21st, then Nigeria against Mexico in the Cotton Bowl out in Dallas on the 24th. And then next Sunday, the United States will take on Colombia at Rutgers Stadium, a game that can be seen right here on ABC. And hi, everybody, I'm Roger Twibel, and a very happy Father's Day to all you dads out there. You know, the U.S. Cup has been very good for the United States team. We go back to 1992, victories over Ireland and Portugal. Then in 93, the stunning upset of England. Of course, the World Cup in 94 advancing to the second round. And here in 95, already a very good result for the United States. This was last Sunday at Foxborough against Nigeria. J.J. Okocha with the first goal, and that gave the Nigerians a 1-0 lead. But then the U.S. comes back. John Harkes, the blast from outside, and he ties it at 1. Nigeria would score again, then late in the half, Mike Burns. Beautiful ball inside to Balboa off the head. And just before halftime, the U.S. ties it at 2-2, and what a sweet moment for Mike Burns from Marlborough, Massachusetts, with 150 fans looking on. Now, later in the game, Ernie Stewart in the second half. Inside, Dooley overruns it to Kobe Jones. And the United States defeats Nigeria by the score of 3-2, and they get off to a great start. Meanwhile, yesterday at Rutgers, no score, second half, free kick, the deflection, and Gomez scores for the Colombians. So the United States and Colombia have both picked up victories in U.S. Cup 95, and today it's the United States against Mexico.
No trendy health club. No $60 shorts. No excuses. Speed Stick's no-nonsense formula gives...
And welcome back to RFK Stadium in our nation's capital. The United States getting set to take on Mexico as the U.S. team comes out on the field, and a big contingent from Mexico here today. I want to welcome our ABC soccer analyst, Seamus Mallon. Seamus, the last time we saw the United States team together was in that 1-0 loss to Brazil at Stanford Stadium. Such high expectations and hope for the game at the professional level after that, but we've gone through months and months and months of stagnation, but finally it looks to be some light at the end of the tunnel. MLS, after not kicking off in 95, is going to go ahead and make 96 their initial season. And as you take a look at some of the other things that have happened with U.S. Cup now, a very good effort against Nigeria with the biggest contingent of our national team's players back since the World Cup.
Well, it's good to have them back, and it's important to have them back. And the U.S. Cup has been great preparation for the United States national team in the World Cup last year. And the next World Cup is coming up faster than you think. Qualifying games next year in 96. So the U.S. Cup has got to be good, but they've got to be good opponents. It's no good if they're easy opponents. And Mexico today is an excellent opponent. And when you think of Mexico, you got to right away think about Jorge Campos, who came out of the world stage in the World Cup with his fantastic outfits, his great uniforms, and his flamboyant coaching, or his flamboyant playing style. And the great news for American fans also is that he is the first major international signing of Major League Soccer. He'll be a featured player next year here in Major League Soccer.
Well, he would make Mr. Blackwell's best dressed list, wouldn't he? Jorge Campos. And, of course, a surprise visitor yesterday, right after the U.S. practice with ties to Mexico, of course, for many years. Former U.S. national team head coach Bora Milutinovic. And Bora saying hello to some of the players and staff members who he hasn't seen since his dismissal from the top spot. So hugs and hellos all around. Also working with us, former national team player Desmond Armstrong, who will be down on the sideline today. And Desmond, very hot day here in Washington.
Roger, you're right. It's very hot. And I think that the players are going to have to be concerned with their water intake because it's a very hot situation on the field. We're going to talk about Casey Keller getting the start for tonight. Casey Keller, a national team member 3 years ago, had his last start with the national team and a loss to Scotland at 1-0. He's been playing in England for the last 3 years with Millwall, the first division. So we're going to look forward to seeing him tonight and see how he controls the defense, especially since most of those players in the defensive line have never played with him before. Also, we're going to talk about looking towards the coaching change. I had a chance to speak to Steve Sampson earlier today about some of the attitudes that have changed with his position as national team coach.
Well, all I can do is do my very best job. You know, I'm going to try my very best for the American coaching community, for the American public. We're going to try and entertain them as much as possible. We're going to take some risks, maybe at the expense of maybe a loss here or there. But you know what? We're going to take the risk to win. We're going to take the risk to go forward.
Thank you.
We love that word, going forward. I mean, everybody likes to see exciting soccer. Interesting situation. Obviously, we talk about the stagnation at the high level of soccer in this country. Milutinovic let go after a handshake agreement, and the U.S. pursuing two other gentlemen, and neither of those working out. The latest, Pereira, who yesterday signed with a team in Turkey.
Well, those are two big losses. Queiroz and Pereira are terrific coaches, so that at least they're going after the very best. But maybe now it's time to really sit back and reconsider a little bit, and that the big international coach may be tough to land for the job as they have currently described it.
And Sampson trying to make a statement for the job on a full-time basis. We'll be back after this from our ABC stations.
Sunday from the best-selling author Judith Krantz.
And welcome back to our nation's capital, the United States, coming up against Mexico. Much has happened to the individual players since World Cup '94 for the U.S. They've scattered in many different directions. And there was the lineup on July 4th, 1994 for the United States. And where are they now? Well, when we last saw Tony Meola, he was carrying the weight of the U.S. team with spectacular saves like this one coming up. And after an unsuccessful tryout with the New York Jets, Tony briefly pursued a career in acting. Well, he's now playing with the Long Island Rough Riders, the USISL. Marcelo Balboa was a defensive force during the World Cup. His play helped earn him honors as the 1994 U.S. Soccer Athlete of the Year. He now plays professionally for León in Mexico. Perhaps the most recognizable player in the U.S. roster, Alexi Lalas, now has the distinction of being the very first American to play and score in the Italian First Division with his team Padova. And Tab Ramos. His World Cup ended with a skull-fracturing elbow to the head. Tab's fully recovered. He played for Nuevo León in Mexico and recently became the first player signed by Major League Soccer. The surprise of the U.S. team, Mike Sorber, played this season for UNAM alongside Mexican goalkeeper Jorge Campos. And on offense, Kobe Jones' World Cup performance earned him a job in England, playing at the highest level, the Premier League, with Coventry City. And how about Alexi Lalas? What a whirlwind it's been for him. He flew from Italy to Boston after playing for his team there, helping them advance and stay in the top division, and played in the second half of the game against Nigeria. As we look at the goalkeeper, Casey Keller, Seamus, his first U.S. start in 3 years.
And Balboa in front of him will have to sweep carefully, covering up the wing-backs. Eric Winalda in midfield, very important today, going both ways for the United States, attacking and defense. Critical that he shut down Ramirez and get forward to help out with the attacking players up front. And now Jorge Campos, as we mentioned, the goalkeeper. In front of him, 4 very strong defenders, 3 of them from Guadalajara. This man, Ramirez in particular, loves to attack, and Winalda's going to have to watch him. In the midfield, also Ignacio Ambriz has been the captain and is the captain today. Very tough, tenacious defender. And up front, lots of talent, and Luis Garcia has a very, very talented player, either right or left foot. He'll be looking to score for Mexico today.
And we'll be back with more from RFK Stadium in just a moment.
You know, some credit card companies act like when you get one of their cards, you'll spend your days arranging flowers someplace grand, where everything smells like potpourri. I mean, come on. A credit card is a tool. You pick a hammer based on how well it hammers. You pick a credit card based on how useful it is. And no credit card is more useful than MasterCard, because no card is more accepted on the planet than MasterCard.
ABC Sports is proud to carry the 1995 Special Olympics. Today, 2 Special Olympians, Glenn Boatwright of Maryland and Thomasine Jones from Washington, D.C., are joined by Special Olympics founder Eunice Kennedy Shriver to make the official coin toss. And the referee today, Victor Ugalde from Costa Rica, the linesman Jorge Cantillano, and Rodolfo Ledesma. We at ABC Sports wish to thank MasterCard, Menon, Nike, the U.S. Postal Service, GTE, and Budweiser for allowing us to bring you today's game commercial-free. This segment of the game is presented commercial-free by MasterCard, and we are underway. The United States against Mexico. Seamus, let's initially talk about and echo the words of Steve Sampson as you look at Claudio Reyna about going forward. Same offensive style for the United States this game as they had against Nigeria?
I would think so. They would have the same worries from Mexico about not letting players get behind, but they certainly want to try to put some pressure on Mexico early.
Winalda sends it inside to Dooley, now off Harks's head. Dangerous ball inside, and Winalda, who has got the burr cut, misses it.
But there was also an offside flag before he even shot. But a very enterprising attack there by the United States. And we do want to add these 2 players to the lineup that we couldn't quite get to a minute ago. But Roy Wrigley and Claudio Reyna, you see up there, Reyna playing an unusual position will be very important to try to get the ball to him and have him hold it up and then get support from behind by midfield players.
That's Luis Garcia, number 10, streaking down the far side, and the tackle from behind. And a beautiful job over there by Caligiuri.
Well, I thought it was beautiful. You thought it was beautiful. But our friend from Costa Rica did not, and he's given a free kick. So you'll see Caligiuri go in with a slide, sliding on 1 foot, and he reaches in. He does touch the ball, gets the ball early, and the player goes over him. So one of those 50-50 calls that goes Mexico's way.
It looks like Bernal, number 6, will take the free kick.
Yeah, he's the specialist on these.
Marcelino Bernal, his 38th cap for Mexico. Streaking shot inside. Looked like Winalda might have gotten a piece of it.
Well, when I said Bernal is a specialist, I mean he really is dangerous from any part of the field. Doesn't have to be in front, but he's very dangerous when they get down towards the goal.
Corner kick now for Mexico, and Casey Keller, his first start for the United States in over 3 years, is being tested immediately. Short ball inside and across the end line. Off of Mexico.
Luis Garcia, such a talented player, wonderful young player, player who was actually brought along at a very young age by Bora Milutinovic.
Seamus, Ernie Stewart not here today. The reason being he made a deal with then coach Bora Milutinovic. He would play in the first game of the U.S. Cup, and then after a long season overseas would take some time off and get prepared for other games later this summer.
That's right, for an important tournament called the Copa America, which both of these teams are going to be playing in late June and early July.
And Clopas is not playing today because he received 2 yellow cards. As quickly now, the United States, that's Wegerle. Great chance, scores! USA! Roy Wegerle! Well, that's just the kind of start that the U.S. wanted, of course, and Mexico feared. And you got to give credit to Claudio Reyna here, as it gets down beautifully and then puts in that lovely soft volley. Look at that ball glided right into Wegerle, and he doesn't hesitate to control it. He just blasts it away. But a great ball from Reyna, playing wide on the right side. And here's this fabulous volley into the corner. No chance for Jorge Campos. And a surprising 1-0 early lead for the United States.
And quickly now, the United States regains possession. That's Reyna catching up to the ball on the far side, curls it in, and Mexico will get it. 2 big things happen there, Seamus. One, everyone was looking for Reyna to step his game up. He's had some injury problems. Also, Wegerle has had some chances recently with the U.S. national team and has not been able to finish. Steve Sampson told me yesterday he's much better facing the net, and that time he was facing the net and he put it away.
Exactly. That's the way he plays in England. He comes from a little deeper position. There you see Wegerle comes from a sort of a deeper position. He's not a kind of guy who likes to play with his back to the goal the way a lot of strikers do. He likes to run onto it, fake a player or two, and get some good shots on net. And in that situation, he's a good finisher. And he showed it there. But I got to give a lot of credit to Claudio Reyna. 1, for getting open, because that's not easy, and 2, for the quality touch.
And Ronaldo trying to break through. Reyna was there sliding through as Ronaldo was tackled from behind by Vidrio, number 13.
Well, I thought Vidrio got away with something there. Here's Vidrio, good, strong central defender. But here's another replay. Look at this touch now, inside.
Oh, beautiful, between the legs.
And Vidrio, I think, did not touch him after all.
Now the corner by Ronaldo. Lawless was right there at the goal mouth and couldn't put it away. Alexi Lawless, standing much taller than most of the Mexican players at 6'3", nearly 200 pounds.
And they called him for a foul as he went in for that header. Take a look here as the ball swerves in and see Lawless going in. And boy, I didn't see much of a foul there. He cut in front of Jorge Campos.
It looked like, if anything, Dooley was right behind him and might have accidentally given him a shove, as Hermosillo tried to come up with it on the far side. Hermosillo is number 7 for Mexico. For Wegerle, 3 goals now for the national team. 2 of those goals have come against Mexico, as the long ball sent down and now headed back into the midfield area. That's Mike Burns for the United States on Garcia there. And slipping through as the offsides, the flag goes up. Zagay, number 11, he is the big man, 6'4", the veteran with 58 caps for Mexico. Mexico with some pressure, trying to get it near side to Aspe, who is number 8. And the ball sent near side to Winalda. You see Winalda there with number 5, Ramon Ramirez, and Seamus, Steve Sampson would really like Winalda and Ramirez sort of to neutralize one another.
Well, that would be a favorable result. A better result would be for Winalda to outplay Ramirez. Let's take a look here at the things that need to happen for these teams in order to pull off a victory today. The United States really has got to get good support from the back as they go forward, midfield players, and also they got to watch out for this strong left side. Mexico has got to have good ball possession that's constructive and penetrates rather than just holds the ball. And they got to play strong early, and they haven't done that so far, because when they fall behind early, they can get rattled, and it takes them a while to get back into it.
Ramirez with the throw in for Mexico. Just underway from RFK, the United States on the Wegerle goal from Claudio Reyna with a 1-0 lead. And you'll remember that the United States beat Mexico 1-0 on a Wegerle goal in the 52nd minute at the Rose Bowl last June in front of 91,000 plus. Long ball sent into Keller, off the head, and that's the dangerous man, Alves Zagay.
Yeah, Zagay is very dangerous in the air, especially against Mike Burns, with whom he was matched up just then, because he's got, I don't know, he's certainly got about 5 or 6 inches on height. And I think they're about to throw that ball out. There's Mike Burns. Yeah, they don't like that ball, so they're bringing in a new ball. But look at this good crossing ball coming in here, way across the field, so the whole defense has to turn around. And there is Zagay going well into the air, but his header is off target. And Burns put a little bit of pressure on him, but does not have the height or jumping ability to contend with Zagay. So that's going to be something to be concerned about. Zagay is, of course, known by his real name, Luis Roberto Alves. And you'll see Alves on the back of his shirt, but he is known all over Mexico and Central America as well as Zagay, or Zaquinho.
He was the 3rd leading scorer in the Mexican First Division this past year for the America team, 23 goals. And the throw in, and quickly now, here comes the throw in to Wegerle as the United States on the attack, and we'll move it back to Mike Burns. Desmond Armstrong, what about the change in the ball there? I know some of the players have not liked the ball they've been using.
Well, the ball's been a big issue for the players because the size 5 has to be pumped up all the way, and it's an oversized ball to come to size 6. If it stays any lower than that, then it's a big wobbling effect. And after you shoot the ball, it goes all over the place. So it's been a big issue. You might see some more changes as the game goes on.
Okay, Desmond, thank you very much. So they've tried to get a different ball in there. See if the pressure of it maybe a little bit different. As the sliding tackle there, and the blast from outside, that was Ambris, number 4, that had that shot blocked. And Wegerle tripped up right in the midfield area, the foul call.
That was Ambris, too, who I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, or the telecast, is the sort of midfield enforcer. He's the captain. He's a tough, no-nonsense defender. And he saw a counterattack possibility very much there for the United States. But look at this good sliding tackle from Lexi Lalas, who has perfected that tackle, or certainly improved it dramatically from his experience in the Serie A over in Italy.
Seamus Kobe Jones nursing a sore ankle today, could come on in the second half as Lalas sends the long ball down to Campos. And then once again, Frankie Clopas with the 2 yellow cards in the game against Nigeria, so he has to sit this one out.
That was a tough loss for the United States, because Clopas is very good at holding the ball up. U.S. trying to pinch players in here now and put some high pressure on. They haven't done much high pressuring. They normally sag back, as they're now doing, and cover the spaces in their own half and not try to do a lot of pressuring in the other half, because Mexico are very good at getting out of that.
There's Alves. Burns is on him. The left foot in Balboa was right there, the team captain, as we take a look at Barón, the head coach of Mexico.
Yeah, under a little bit of criticism after their loss in L.A., where they played recently and lost to Chile 2-1. And, of course, he's a very, very public figure in Mexico, and everybody second guesses him.
That's Aspe, who takes it off the head inside and over the top of the net by Carlos Hermosillo, number 7, who was a last-minute substitute today to move into the starting lineup. He's been battling some injury problems. Leading scorer in the Mexican First Division this past year with Cruz Azul.
Yes, indeed, and one of those odd players, Roger, who has a reputation for being a brilliant club player and kind of an inconsistent national team player. See this often in parts of Europe, where players can't seem to get it together with the national team and are terrific for their clubs.
And Mexico has to send that ball up in the air. Vidrio was able to get it back out. One of the things that Steve Sampson, Seamus, talked about was controlling the ball in the midfield area, not giving it up and then go forward. And he doesn't use what a lot of the players call the D word, which is defense. He just says, don't let the other team get behind you.
Well, that's very, very important, and that's why they're playing 5 players at the back. Sampson is really using 5. He lists 4, but in effect there are 2 people man marking at the back, and with a sweeper behind them.
Good play there.
Other players going forward.
Ronaldo, nice job to keep that ball in play as Dooley slides in the middle. And Mexico having some trouble maintaining possession as Campos will come out. I want to remind everybody we'll be with you next Sunday. United States will take on Colombia at Rutgers University. Homecoming for Alexi Lawless, where he played his college soccer. 1 Eastern, 12 Central, and Pacific on the banks of the old Raritan. Lawless doing battle in the midfield area right there with Hermosillo and doing a great job.
Yep, and there he wins another tackle, and he follows it up.
Lawless says his year in Italy has taught him not about kicking a little ball around, but it's taught him how to be a professional.
Yep, and it shows. Here we'll see Alexi Lawless coming in with a good slide, good timing, gets the ball away, doesn't foul the player.
Ronaldo chipped it inside, and Campos always very active and aggressive, Seamus. He's not afraid to come way out of the spot to get that ball.
He's very willing to put himself on the line. And, you know, these crazy outfits he wears, which he designs himself, almost our sort of design to make him stand out no matter what he does.
Boy, the big man, Alves, pushing off on Burns. Lawless heads it outside.
Such a good clearing header, too, by Alexi, away from where the action was.
Rodriguez sends it in. Dangerous ball there. Zagai, the shot inside, the save by Keller. Ramirez got the left foot on it, and Keller got the hand to the post on the outside.
Tremendous save by Keller. And they're not giving a corner. They've said it was a shot wide, but look at this shot. Now, what's the dive? And the touch. He touched it around the post, because that was definitely corner bound. And we'll take another look from behind the net. Nice setup here. Beautiful first touch to his favorite left foot, cracking it to the far post, and Keller stretching for all he's worth to touch it away.
Well, Keller told me the other day, he said, I'm not really nervous. He says, I have some anticipation, but I feel after my last couple of years in Millwall, I'm very well prepared to play, and I'm eagerly looking forward to playing for the national team. This segment of the game is presented commercial-free by Menon. Roger Twyvell, Seamus Mallon, Desmond Armstrong with you from RFK. The blast taken from outside. That was number 6, Marcelino Bernal.
This is great stuff for Casey Keller, too. I mean, he's been the much-awaited goalkeeper. 3 years waiting to see him. And he's gotten into the action very early on. And that wonderful save is just the perfect tonic for his appearance here, for his first national team appearance in 3 years. Thomas Dooley, dispossessed there, but is a very key player also on the back. He's supposed to be in the back, but he's really playing much more out front.
Ball into the middle, off the head, and able to be cleared out by Burns. So a dangerous situation right at the top of the box. Let me ask Desmond Armstrong, you played with Casey Keller. Give us your sort of look at Casey as a goalkeeper, the upside, maybe the downside too.
Well, my assessment of Casey Keller is that he's an experienced goalkeeper. He's played in the first division in England, which we mentioned before. So he brings a great deal of experience back there and confidence because he has played at the highest level. One of the downsides may be that he hasn't been with the team long enough to have a real flow with the defenders that play in front of him.
Okay, Desmond, thank you. We've got a player down on the far side of the field. Roy Wegerle is down and being attended to. Wegerle, of course, has had a number of arthroscopic knee surgeries throughout his career, has had knee problems, it seems like forever, and he has moved off the field, and the United States will play with 10 men for the moment.
Well, they play with 10 men for the moment. They've got to be very careful not to leave some gaps open because the Mexican team is very expert at punishing mistakes, and that was almost one there.
Now, in this U.S. Cup, 3 substitutes, Seamus, and then also you can substitute for the goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper, that's right. Here we have some players warming up.
John Kerr Jr.
John Kerr, and I think Jovan Kirovsky is also warming up behind the Mexican goal.
Well, this is a very hot day, and I'm sure the heat will take its toll on a number of players.
And Wegerle's going off the field. Wegerle is way over in the far corner of the field, behind the Mexican goal. And there you see him.
His left shoe off.
That does not look good.
So at the moment, Mexico, one man up. Chip inside, offsides right there. Beautiful ball by Luis Garcia as he chipped it inside, but Mexico was off. The intended man, Carlos Hermosillo.
Well, we'll see the ball coming over the top here, and you see two players already in there before that pass was released. That's the critical timing, of course. When is the ball released towards the player or not? Where is the player when he gets it, or when it's in flight? Where is he when it's released towards him? As you mentioned, 10 players for the United States, and the offside trap is very tricky. They pulled it there. They moved up quickly and caught Mexican players behind, but when you're down a player, that can come apart too. You have to be very careful.
What's your strategy now, being down a man and you're waiting to find out if you're going to get a substitute or if Wegler's going to come back?
Yeah, you should be very much more defensive in midfield and just let Claudio Reyna play up front alone by himself.
Long ball down to Zagay as he chases it to the corner, and Burns was right there to knock it across the end line. It'll be a corner kick coming up. Let's check in. Desmond, what's the deal with Wegerle?
Here with Roy Wegerle. He's just come off the field. Roy, you said you got a shot earlier in the week. Are you okay?
Well, I'm not okay to play anymore. No. A nerve or something in my foot that's giving me too much trouble. I can't run, so it's best we get 11-foot players on the field.
Very good. Back to you, Roger.
Okay, Desmond. Aspe took that corner, and the United States defense was there to challenge as Winalda and Reyna moving it upfield, but sent back by Ramirez, but chased down in the midfield area by Mike Sorber. As Burns now will come up from the back line and chase this long ball down the centering pass and deflected across the end line by Hernandez, and a corner kick upcoming for the United States.
Almost an Escobar deja vu there for Hernandez. The U.S. trying to get a substitute in. Kobe Jones, who wasn't one of the players we saw warming up. Kobe Jones is now down at the substitute bench, and they're trying to get him in. But they were planning to use Kobe, I think, in the second half. I think on the theory that Eric Winalda was going to be working so much that he'd need some relief. Now the plans have been somewhat upset, really, by this injury to Wegerle.
So Kobe Jones is checked in for the injured Roy Wegerle as Winalda will take the corner. Long sweeping ball that Sorber will chase down on the far side. Kobe's been nursing a sore ankle, really didn't practice much at the workout yesterday here at RFK Stadium. But Steve Sampson felt that he would be available just in case. And of course, you know, Seamus, a lot of secrets being played. You don't want Mexico to know everything.
That's right. The lineup formation that we were given yesterday was for the public, and it turned out to be somewhat different from what actually is the case for the United States. We're still playing a little bit more with players at the back.
Hernandez sends it inside, and Lawless with the save right there. Beautiful job by Alexi Lawless as they...
And that is, there's a good crowd here today enjoying that tackle by Alexi Lawless. And that's what you talk about being a professional, Roger. That is a confident tackle in the penalty area with the possibility of a penalty being given away. And Alexi now, with a year under his belt in Italy, makes that tackle safely.
Aspe will take the corner for Mexico. That's a low ball inside and immediately kicked across the end line, and they'll have a corner kick once again. Sends it back out. Lawless and Winalda, roommates this week. Lawless with the long hair, Winalda with the shaved head. Dangerous ball right on top. Oh, beautiful save! Was that Dooley?
Yes.
Yes, it was. Dooley, as Zagay was right there, and Thomas Dooley could not use his hands and was able to clear it out.
Tremendous save, because Zagay took a little bit of time to get the shot away, and that gave Dooley a little extra second to get back. He waits a little, then lets it go. Dooley just got back in that split second that Zagay hesitated.
Right off his left knee. Boy, that's an experienced player who knows how to do that. Once again, a lot of pressure now. The shot, the save by Keller. as Casey Keller being challenged, and that was Luis Garcia that time.
Luis Garcia good with either foot, left or right. Getting some nice space, and now we'll take a look, isolation here on Keller. See him moving across towards the shot, so he's in a very good position for it. Oh, this is the previous one, I'm sorry. That was the ball cleared off the line by Dooley.
Now, Kobe Jones, and offsides. Reyna was right there in front of him as Jones and Reyna trying to make something happen.
You know, on that shot by Zage that we just saw the replay of, when I mentioned he hesitated, I think he hesitated in order to try to fake out the keeper a little bit, and that sort of worked. There's another offside. That worked, actually, but as I said, it also gave Dooley that little extra second to get back there, which he did. And you got to give credit for Tom Dooley for not just getting there, Roger, but for making the clearance as he's falling back into the net.
Hermosillo, number 7, the leading scorer in Mexico with 35 goals this past year. Of course, a number of United States players now playing down in the Mexican First Division. Sorber is down there. Balboa is down there. Tab Ramos also down there. And it's going to be really interesting to see Campos when he comes to the MLS. That'll be very exciting for the fans in Los Angeles. Of course, what a great Mexican Latin contingent in Southern California. As Winalda getting tied up on the near side.
Winalda's going to get a card for this.
Vidrio was the man he got tied up with, and yes, the yellow card does come out. So that's the first warning. Remember, if they get 2, he would not be able to play in the next game, as Clopas is not able to play today.
He'd be out of this game, and he'll play the next one. He checks back here. Not a very good coherent kind of tackle, if you will, kind of a tackle by a forward. We're not as good as defenders are at tackling. I got to tell you, it's interesting now because Winalda has shifted his position, Roger. He's no longer playing in midfield. He's gone up top to take the position of Wegerle, and Kobe Jones has now come in to play the right side of midfield, which used to be Winalda's position. So now Kobe Jones in your screen there, he's the one who's going to have to motor up and down this right side of the field, check Ramirez, and help the attack as well.
After being the early aggressor, Mexico now with 7 corners and 6 shots on goal after the United States got that early goal, and they have the 1-0 lead. Will send it in on the near side. Seamus, what about the experiment with the kick-in versus the throw-in that's been tried?
You want an opinion?
Yes.
I think it's nonsense.
That's why I asked you.
I do. I have no time for the kick-in, no time for it whatsoever, or timeouts or any of that silliness they're experimenting with. We do not have kick-ins here. We do not have timeouts here. The game should flow as it has flown beautifully for many, many years. I don't think we need timeouts. And the kick-in used to be in American soccer, and I remembered it back in the dark ages when I played in college, and you know, you just hoofed it up into the penalty area, and there's a big crowd of players there.
Here comes Dooley. Dooley scores! USA! Thomas Dooley!
Campos' debut in the nation's capital. That's not his debut. He played here once before, but in his future American career is not as good as this man, Dooley. But look at this again. This is what they wanted. They wanted Dooley to come forward. But look at the good touch in there again by Claudio Reyna. And Dooley with a great, quick, early release from the right foot. Watch the early release here. It's going to be with the outside of the right foot. There. A little touch, and then the outside of the right foot.
He just ran right through Vidrio that time.
He ran right through Vidrio, and he looked like he was setting up his left foot. And that...
Oh, the dive, and he's safe.
And that froze the keeper a little bit. And so he takes the ball out of stride and whacks it in by the near post. And once again, Claudio Reyna, with an intelligent release from his wide left side position on the attack, doing exactly what they hoped he would do. That is, win the ball, have it up top, and then release it with a threatening pass and not just a possession pass. And that's what Reyna's been able to do twice to killing effect.
5th national team goal for Thomas Dooley at the age of 34 with his 47th appearance. And what a a story, of course, you remember a few years ago, former U.S. General Manager Bill Nuttall found him in Germany, where he had grown up, an American father, German mother, always wanted to come to the United States. His dream came through, and of course, what a big factor he was in U.S. Cup '93.
Absolutely.
Against England.
Yeah.
And he's been a remarkable story, has just signed a contract, a new contract, 2-year contract with FC Schalke in the Bundesliga. As down on the field is John Harkes. Now, Harkes just had surgery about 4 weeks ago on that left leg. He had a vein stripped from the left leg. As he showed me yesterday, he says it looks pretty bad, but it wasn't that bad. And as he is being attended to, let's check in with Desmond Armstrong. Desmond?
Yeah, Steve Sampson just called Paul Caligiuri over in the last break that they had on the field to describe to him, to say that don't push up too far on the left fullback side because they're going to exploit it on that side. So hold his ground, to stay very compact so that the Mexicans won't have a chance to come through.
That's very interesting, Desmond, because only about 7 minutes ago, I watched Thomas Dooley yelling at Caligiuri to support him on the outside with a run up front. Now they've got the second goal. That changes a little bit. They're going to be maybe a little bit more cautious about when Caligiuri should go forward.
The United States leads Mexico 2-0. You know, in recent years, the United States has fared awfully well. In the last 8 games, it's 3-3-2. And we need to point out, this is a very strong Mexican side, and we really couldn't say that about the Nigerian side, Seamus, that the U.S. beat 3-2.
Absolutely. They were missing some of the great players, Makachi, Amunike, and the players also from Holland. But, you know, George Finidi, to get his name right, players like that. But all of the Mexican players are here. This is the best team. Perhaps Suarez, the defender who's injured, is the one missing link. But otherwise, this is pretty much very similar to the team that played here in the World Cup '94. And this is a great performance so far by the United States, who's just pouring through the midfield.
And Kobe Jones on the run on the far side. Into the area, drops it back to Winalda. Back to Jones. And Winalda, the centering ball, headed out. Aspe with the header. This segment of the game is presented commercial-free by Nike. This is the 7th game for the national team of Mexico since World Cup '94. They played in Saudi Arabia in a tournament as Jones gets it from Dooley. Reyna's up there, Winalda, and on the near side.
Not a good finish by Kobe Jones there, as the give-and-go has worked well, although the right side defender, Rodriguez, did very little to stop that give-and-go. And so it really set it up nicely for Kobe Jones, but his cross is much too high and easy for Jorge Campos.
Mexico's last game was against Chile in Los Angeles, and they lost that game 2-1. Now Balboa chasing the long ball to the end line. He kicks it back across the far side touchline. Beautiful play there, as Rodriguez, the Mexican, was right with him, so it'll be a throw-in for Mexico. Ambriz is for, he got it back to Rodriguez, and Balboa, and Keller comes to get it.
Corner kick.
Well, that was an interesting play. It looked like Keller had position to catch the ball in play, and it appeared as though the Mexican player sort of shoved him out. That was Hermosillo. And so it'll be the corner coming up for Mexico. This will be their 8th.
Linesman had a good view on it, Roger. I think he felt that Keller did not succeed in holding it in bounds, and then was bumped even though he was out already.
That's Jorge Rodriguez. He'll take the corner. And Wallace gets very high to send it out. The shot from out on top, way over the net. No chance at all. Solid work there for the United States. Aspe was the man who took the shot. There's a look at Casey Keller. A lot of controversy, Seamus, when he was left off the World Cup team. He's very highly thought of in England, where he has been a stellar performer for Millwall. As a matter of fact, Millwall was just offered millions of dollars from another club for his services, and they wouldn't part with him.
Yep. And he was You know, he was in the World Cup team in 1990. He was a backup to Miola in Italy, and then fell into the bad graces of the Federation for a number of reasons, depending on who you talk to. But it was a sad episode and lasted far too long. Well, so far, he's been pretty darn good for the U.S.
Let's send it down to Desmond Armstrong.
I made an observation down here. Johnny Harks has switched positions with Kobe Jones. Kobe's playing the left flank midfielder right now, and what has happened is Harks has come to the right-hand side so he can play more of a defensive role. Mike Burns has been challenged considerably by Zaghi on the left-hand side. Most of the offense from the Mexican side has come from the left-hand side with Zaghi flaring down the side.
All right, Desmond, thank you. As the United States leads it 2-0, they got a very quick goal at the beginning of the game by Wegerle, who has since left because of an injury in the 3rd minute, and then Dooley in the 26th minute, and Reyna on both assists. And we were talking this morning, Seamus, about that very fact, about Claudio Reyna, such great potential, such great skill, but coming up big in a game as we look at Roy Wegerle.
Yeah, Wegerle certainly did enough maybe for one day. Too bad he's out injured because he looked awfully good today. And Reyna is, you know, that terrible word potential, which is such a damning word in many ways. But today he has certainly realized it twice with beautiful touches. And, you know, if you can set up 2 goals, there's a bad shot
tackle
behind.
Kobe Jones taken down over on the far side there by Jorge Rodriguez.
Yeah, that's got to be a card. And also there was another foul by Bernal, which went unnoticed. But that was Rodriguez coming in very tough from the back. You know, excuse me, but it seems to me that...
there's a U.S. player, Seamus, down.
Yeah. Well, that's Paul Caligiuri. I think it's Paul Caligiuri. And he was rushing up to support Kobe Jones, and he got whacked while the referee's back was turned. He got whacked by Bernal, and down he went. But that foul we just saw, you know, in the World Cup last year, we were told that was a red card foul. Remember that?
Right.
And the enforcement of this has been totally inefficient, inconsistent. There's the tackle from behind. 2 feet coming in, one after the other.
And there's Caligiuri. Oh, he got kicked.
Yeah. Yeah, he was doing the follow-up, as I said.
In a place you don't want to be kicked.
Bernal just absolutely chopped him down. So, not a very attractive play by the Mexicans here. And losing their composure, which is what I was talking about at the top, about the keys to victory for them. Falling behind is not where they do well.
Barron, the coach for Mexico, has had that role now for several years as the United States leads Mexico 2-0. Long ball sent in. Balboa, who is the captain today, trying to get his head on it as the Mexican team in the green jerseys will send it back out. Sorber, well, he's a quiet man, isn't he, Seamus? He just seems to do his job, and he does it awfully well without a lot of fanfare. Ronaldo gets the pass from Kobe Jones. And Ronaldo still dribbling. The shot, the save, the follow, the score! Harks, John Harks! USA leads it 3-0.
But a lot of credit's got to go to Kobe Jones for that brilliant ball that set Ronaldo free on the left side, and the quick change. Johnny Harks, whom Desmond had mentioned had been switched over, was the right man in the right place. Here's a good shot, rebound, and there's Harksey winning the battle for the loose ball and knocking in 3. I tell you, I would never have predicted 3-0 after 36 minutes in this game. Look at how he gets a nice little fake here, gets a bit of a break through the legs, and then the firing the shot. Campos does not do very well with it. Blocks it in front of goal rather than over the end line, which is where he should be trying to push it if he's going to block it. And Harks is there on the doorstep for a really impressive 3-0 lead for the USA.
John Harks, his 6th goal for the national team, and the United States leads it 3-0 as the offsides.
Offside.
No goal. I'll tell you, every time that big man, Zagay, comes in there, it looks like he's got a chance. He's nearly 6 feet 5 inches tall.
Well, he's well offside there. He's all left foot, as you see. His right foot is purely ornamental. but his left foot is pretty lethal. A nice touch and a nice finish, but quite a bit offside. And I got to tell you, Eric Winalda has got to calm down a little bit. Eric Winalda at the moment is losing his cool a bit. He's going around hitting people. He's got a yellow card on him right now. If he gets caught with one more dangerous foul, as he almost committed a minute ago, he's going to be out of here, and the U.S. is down to 10 players. So he needs a little bit of composure right now.
Burns will throw it in for the United States. That's Reyna, 21. Lawless.
Good step up by Lawless.
High and across to Winalda, but offsides. Seamus, a bit surprised, are you?
I'm absolutely surprised. I'm embarrassed to tell you what my prediction was, so we won't talk about that. But I don't think anybody in his right mind would have said 3-0 after 38 minutes for the United States. This is an impressive display.
Ramirez, 5, along with number 10 there, Garcia, and the ball taken by Harks. As Mexico.
Yeah, unlucky there. Unlucky, Roger. Harks saw Winalda with a one-on-one, tried to play it long, and unfortunately just drilled it right into Reyna's stomach.
Now the chip down into the box. Hermosillo and Lawless battling, and Lawless. He says, you know what? I'm tired of people talking about my hair and my goatee and my music. He says, I just want to have them talk about my soccer. As you look at Hank Steinbrecher and Alan Rothenberg, Hank with the glasses on.
Hank Steinbrecher on the left there with that mustache.
I'll tell you, a little damage control, I think, being done now with the coaching situation. Bora Milutinovic having been let go after a handshake agreement, thinking they had a deal with Quiros over in Portugal, thinking that maybe Pereira, the former Brazilian national team coach, would come on board after being let go by Valencia. And Steve Sampson said, you know what, I'm just going to do my job. But when I do my job, I'm going to make it as hard as hell for them to go and find somebody else.
Yeah, well, so far he's done the job. They've gotten 6 goals in 2 games so far. I can't remember when they rattled in 6 goals in a game and a half.
By the way, we offered both to Hank and to Alan to talk to us today, and they refused to speak to us about the national team coaching situation. Trying to update everyone on that. Sorber. Boy, Sorber with some beautiful ball work. Look at Reyna. Tries to chip it over the top. Right there with him was Ramirez, but we're starting to see today from Claudio Reyna that potential that everyone has talked about.
Hopefully we can finally bury that. You mentioned the D word. The B word is always a lethal word to be putting on an athlete. But I tell you, Mexico is, at this point, very dispirited. They're having to chase the game, and the U.S., unless it gives it away to them, as they did just then, are very much in the driver's seat. Look at that. That's such a bad ball. Such a bad ball from Mexico. I talked about possession and constructive possession. Here's Bernsey.
And Campos is coming out, and Campos, who has played out in the midfield area before, he's a versatile player, is able to come out and send it across the near side touchline, so Burns will have it on the throw-in. And Winalda, right there by the end line, trying to maintain control as Burns will get it back for the United States. Harks, number 6. Harks plays at Darby County, but could be aligned to come back in the MLS with the team in the New Jersey area.
Jury has gone forward. Now let's see if they can expose his spot. Well, Sorber went back to cover for him. There's Sorber on the ball.
And it's sent across and trying to get ahead on it. Now Killer's way out of goal was Alves. So, okay, let's check in with Desmond. Desmond, you got a thought on the Mexican team?
Yes, Roger. Miguel Barron feels that the American side is more aggressive, winning more 50-50 balls. So he's getting up from the sideline and telling his team to play with more passion, more aggression, try to win the 50-50 balls, and then the pace of the game will change for them.
Desmond, has any coach that you've ever had on the national team expressed ultimate confidence in your offensive abilities and your teammates' abilities like Steve Sampson has in this game and against Nigeria?
No, actually, the situation has always been for us to play very defensive. I think that Steve Sampson has brought a great attitude to the team to let us play freely, or let the team play very free to go forward to display the talents they have.
Well, it's been entertaining so far. As the shot it off the side of the net.
I love the guy, though. Zage, he just loves to shoot on goal. Another player might have tried to cut inside, but he saw the opening. He's very confident in his left foot, and he whacks it towards the near post and just gets it off target.
Seamus, you remember he had 7 goals in one game against Martinique back in '93.
That's right.
I mean, that's the most at the international level anyone's ever had. Now Kobe trying to chase it down.
U.S. has got about 3 or 4 minutes left here. There'll be some stoppage time added because of the injuries being treated. But, you know, 3-0 is almost an insurmountable lead in soccer. But we saw a game here.
I was going to say that last year.
Last year, before the World Cup, or maybe it was 2 years ago, actually, the U.S. Cup, when Germany played Brazil here.
Exactly.
And Brazil went up 3-0 at the half.
Exactly.
And Germany came back and knocked in 3, and it was a fantastic game, a 3-3 game.
Terrific game.
So you can never be sure, but you certainly don't want to give one up before the half if you have a 3-0 lead.
You saw Mike Burns there. Burns has signed with Major League Soccer, hoping to play in the Boston area. And why not? He's from Marlborough, Massachusetts. It would only make sense. And what a thrill for him last week. That beautiful ball into Balboa in front of some 150 friends and family, as Burns will take it back. And Keller came up with a couple of nice saves early on in the game.
Absolutely. Critical points in the game when they had that one-goal lead. He came up with a wonderful diving save, which the referee didn't see, or thought it was just a shot wide, but it was a very important goal at an important time, because Mexico had gotten level 1 apiece at that time. That could have very much changed their spirits.
Well, has Ramirez been neutralized so far today?
He really has. He has not gotten down towards the United States penalty area, I think, more than once. They're very much sort of disorganized right now, the Mexican team.
Ramon Ramirez plays for Guadalajara. The best chance is saved by Casey Keller.
That was a shot by Hermosillo. And again, excellent positioning by Casey Keller. A wonderful run by Hermosillo to get behind the United States defense. That's what they worry about. And he got behind that time.
And the corner kick. Swerving ball that Lawless gets ahead on. 10 shots for Mexico. The USA with 6 and 3 goals. And Hermosillo, the leading scorer in Mexico, has had a couple of chances, as has this man, Zage, as he sends the left foot in, and Kobe Jones will send it back. And here comes Ramon Ramirez. Jones tries to take him off the ball. Zage.
They call offsides. Yep. Good ball played in here, and Hermosillo beats the offside trap, doesn't hesitate, barely looks at goal, but look at the positioning there. Look at the positioning of Casey Keller, cutting down the angle perfectly, being sure that near post is protected, which is crucially important, and not trying to catch it, just knocking it away because of the force.
We're in stoppage time right now in the first half, with the United States leading Mexico 3-0 in U.S. Cup 95, and we have completed the first half, and what a glorious first half this has been for the United States. The quick goal by Wegerle, and then Dooley and Harks also with goals. Reyna assisting on 2. Let's check in with Desmond Armstrong.
Thank you, Roger. Steve, a very impressive first half. You talked about an attractive style of play. How do you feel about it?
Well, 3 goals in the first half. I don't think we've done that in a long time, you know, but I'll tell you the second half will be even more important, because the Mexicans are going to come out. They have a certain amount of pride, a lot of pride. Now we have to play very good team defense. At the same time, we're not going to back off either.
So the attitude is continue to go forward, but stay very compact?
The attitude is to go forward, score goals, and make sure that we keep our shape defensively.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
All right, Desmond, thank you very much. Steve Sampson looking for his 2nd win as the national team coach of the United States. USA leads it at halftime, 3-0.
Welcome back here to RFK Stadium in our nation's capital. The first half, the United States with 3 goals, and they lead Mexico 3-0 in U.S. Cup 95. The last time the U.S. scored 3 goals and a half was against El Salvador in '93, and they went on to a 7-0 victory in that game. And oh, how sweet that would be if they could do that here today. But it's been a interesting first half for the United States. Mexico with nearly their full World Cup squad. The U.S. got on the board early. Casey Keller made a couple of nice saves and then a couple of other goals, and it's 3-0 at halftime. Now, all of you are probably aware that Bora Milutinovic was released as the United States national team coach. Bora felt he had a handshake agreement and would continue to coach the team. It didn't work out that way. The United States has moved in several different directions since then. They've been spurned twice for the national team coaching job, and Steve Sampson, who was Bora's assistant during the World Cup, presently is the head coach. We had an opportunity to talk to him.
I've had an opportunity to learn under an individual in Bora Milutinovic that's been there 3 times now. But I think also the element that the American player needs is the understanding of the American culture, the American personality. And it's very difficult, I think, for a foreign coach to come in and understand those things right away. It's going to take him a year, maybe 2. And by that time, qualifying is over with. So as much as a foreign coach might bring a tremendous amount of experience to this team, which might benefit us greatly, we have to take into account the element of understanding the American mentality.
People are speculating, saying that, that it's such a mess right now. You know, the federation's in such a mess and turmoil, and who's the coach, and nobody knows. But you know, within ourselves and the players and Steve and the staff that he has here, we're a professional team. You know, we represent our country and we go out and play. And that's all we concentrate on.
Well, Seamus, there was a comment by the Federation, well, maybe we're not in such a big hurry. Maybe we've got a year to get this coaching thing resolved. And I asked a number of players that very thing, and they go, absolutely not. We need a coach. We've got to start getting prepared for '96 and qualifying for the '98 World Cup in France. Now, we've heard the notion that they want to go international. They don't necessarily want to have an American. Are there any names that are available who are good enough to jump out in your mind?
Well, you know, it's available is the key word, but it's amazing how coaches suddenly become available when there's an interesting opportunity. I, for one, want to see the signed document to be sure that Pereira is, in fact, going to Turkey. But I do think a coach like Ozzy Ardiles, who is a wonderful Argentine player who coached in England, Andy Roxborough, who's coached in Scotland, but who has a very good feeling for the youth development and that sort of thing. These 2 people might be possible names to look at. But really, as I said earlier, I think it might be time to reconsider the whole concept of what they're trying to accomplish here, because America might need a different answer from what the rest of the world pursues, and maybe it's time to step back, reassess, and think about chopping the job up a little bit more than they have been thinking up to now.
Well, the question has been, can one man be the national team head coach and also oversee the development and set the policy for the rest of the coaches all through down the junior teams and such? Or do you just have, like Bora was, the national team coach, which got you to the World Cup? What you're saying is what?
Well, I'm saying is that neither of those models may be right. We have a particular challenge in this country because of its size and because of the way the game has grown so rapidly all over the country. And I think the most critical thing we have to do is we have to identify the talent, because I think there's talent out there that we're not finding yet. And coaching or no coaching, we're not going to emerge to the top until we get more and more experienced players and excellent players, and they've got to come from a wider range of society than we're now getting them.
Good point, Seamus. Of course, Desmond Armstrong has played for the United States national team. He hopes to play for them in the future. He will be playing Major League Soccer. Desmond, give us your read on the situation now, and maybe from a player's perspective, what you would like to see in a coach.
But from a player's perspective, I believe that we need an American coach based on the fact that as we progressively get better as a team and we get wider acceptance within our own country, we're going to need an American coach to really carry the sport forward as an American sport as opposed to being seen as a foreign sport. The other thing holds true in that if we bring in a foreign coach, he has to really understand the culture that we have here, understand the types of players that we have here, understand the dynamic of a big country. So I think that, again, an American coach understands those dynamics. We really have to forge forward on our own and stop looking for the solutions outside of this country. I believe that we can still have American players play on the national team, especially with the MLS coming on, have a professional league, and then that way the national system will transcend down to the lower systems in terms of a style of play for the national team.
Desmond, one more question for you. Is it urgent that the United States gets a coach immediately, or do they have time to sort of conduct a long-term search?
My opinion on that is the fact that they need a coach right now. If we're going to prepare for the 1998 World Cup, you need to make preparations right now. You can't wait a year and then decide, okay, I'm going to have a coach and then have the team go into qualifying games. There's too much to learn. You have to learn the system, the political system, also the grassroots system in order to make the whole engine work so that they'll be successful at the top, at the highest level.
Okay, Desmond, thank you very much. And we'll be right back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Bud. 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 Wise.
Well, that score is correct. The United States leading Mexico at halftime, 3-0 here at RFK Stadium in our nation's capital. And Seamus, it was finally announced after a long, long wait that Major League Soccer would make its debut in 1996. The championship game will be here on ABC. And let's take a look at the Western and the Eastern Conference here.
Well, it's great to see Major League Soccer back. I have to say back because I was involved with the NASL, and I thought that was pretty major in those days. Maybe it wasn't, but this is a whole different approach. There's good funding here. I think it's a solid base. There are a lot more fans out there in the traditional, or not traditional, but the new American fans to support teams. But I think in the end, really, what it comes down to, Roger, is what's the quality of the product going to be? Because there are knowledgeable fans now in this country. They've seen the best last year, and they're not going to be settling for something that's really mediocre. So it's not going to be Premier League division status right away. They've got to build towards that, but it's got to be exciting enough, attacking enough, and good quality to get people in the stands.
Now, Major League Soccer has signed about 20 players so far. Campos from Mexico, one of them, and of course a number of U.S. players. They're talking about Valderrama from Colombia and some other international stars. The way the team will probably set up would be, as we take a look at some of the player signings, Tab Ramos and Mike Burns, Lapper, Desmond Armstrong, of course, who's working with us today. Probably 6 Americans, 5 foreign players to start off with in the league. And they need to sign 180, 200 quality players. I mean, that's a big challenge.
It is a very big challenge, but it's a great opportunity for this sort of absent talent I talked about earlier. We know we have identified some talent. There now is a good development of, if you will, of minor league plays through the USISL and also through the A-League. So there are possibilities now of finding where players are, but that's the first step. Now we got to go into areas where we haven't looked before, get them on board, and combine them with good foreign players.
Okay, Seamus. And we'll return with more highlights from the first half here at RFK Stadium in just a moment.
You know,
the United States leads it at halftime 3-0. And Seamus, let's check out those 3 great goals by the U.S.
Well, we talked about the great left-sided attack of Mexico, but all 3 U.S. goals came from the left side with that great push through by Reyna and that smacking volley by Wegerle to put them up 1-0. Now, the second goal also came from the left side from a throw-in. And we're going to stop it here in just a second. Stop right there. Now, take a look at this defender here and watch the run of Dooley and see what happens to the defender. The defender gives up, lets him alone. Dooley goes in alone on a beautiful right foot shot, buries it. 2-0. Again, the left side. This time, Winalda gets free, bursts in on goal where he sees he has a chance for a shot, lets it rip, and Campos really makes a mess of it, putting it out in front, and Johnny Harkes knocks it home.
And a couple of nice saves by Casey Keller in his first national team start in over 3 years. No changes for the U.S. And this segment of the game is presented commercial-free by the U.S. Postal Service. One change for Mexico as Hernandez, number 22, is out, and Esquivel, number 18, has checked into the game. So the United States starts off the second half with no changes in their lineup. And immediately Mexico trying to send something inside. Now, Seamus, we heard from Steve Sampson right before the half about what he wants to do in the second half. But what's the reality of playing with a 3-0 lead as Keller, looking into the sun, is able to gather that shot in from Rodriguez?
Well, I think you don't want to change your style too much because that very often leads to really bad habits and lapses of concentration. You want to have them keep playing the same way. But when he talked about not losing their shape at the back, what he really meant was to be sure that they do not leave a lot of spaces in behind the way they did a couple of times in the first half and allow those quick passing Mexican players to get in.
So the only substitution, number 18, Esquivel, a defender. He plays for Aksa. Number 10 in the midfield, Luis Garcia, scored twice in the 2-1 win over Ireland in the World Cup. And he got his foot on the ball a number of times in the first half to Luis Garcia. There's Bernal, number 6, as Balboa gets ahead on it. Now, Balboa has stated his intention to go back and play in Mexico again next year and not play MLS. And that's going to be, you know, a problem with more American players having gone overseas and gone to other countries to play. As you take a look at time of possession right there, getting them back.
Yeah. Quick note on time of possession. In favor of Mexico, 25 minutes to 19. But, you know, there's possession and there's possession. It's really a question of, you know, what positive use do you make of possession? That's what I was talking about at the keys to victory for Mexico, conceding that they'd probably have more possession. But is it positive attacking, well-constructed possession? In the first half, only in spurts was that the case.
Now, what does Mexico try to do different, if anything at all? Obviously, Barone would like them to move forward, but they did really a pretty good job of that, Seamus, in the first half, and Keller and the U.S. defense was able to stifle them.
Yeah, they've really got to be more dominant in the middle of the field. They just have not really picked up the passing in the middle of the field. Here's a good crossing opportunity.
Keller the save and the slip inside as the Mexican player, the big man, Alves Zague, once again was right on the doorstep, and he just slipped. That was his 4th shot today on goal.
Really should have been a goal, I think. That really ought to have been finished off, and it was, again, the United States letting that ball get in behind them, right in front, and it's a terrible position for Casey Keller.
Caligiuri sends it down the near side to Kobe Jones. And they'll have a throw-in for Mexico.
I started to say Mexico got to do more in the middle of the field. They've really got to get a more effective transition game going through the middle of the field.
I'll tell you, there's something going on the other side over there between, it looks like Harks and Zague and Burns mixing it up a little bit.
Good pressure by Kobe Jones in the middle of the field. You see the U.S. team all swarming in here, trying to get extra players and pin them in, but Mexico gets away. That's what they need to do more of.
That was Garcia again. Bernal, number 6, gets it back to Andres 4, and over to the far side.
That's Ramirez.
Yes. And there he is, Zague, and Balboa is able to clear it out. Well, they have gotten the ball to Zague and also to Garcia in good position in spots where they should be able to finish, and they've not been able to do that so far today. This is Winalda. Sends it across to Jones. Reyna is right there also. Jones and Reyna. Oh, and boy, I'll tell you what, Bernal just took Jones down with his shoulder. As you look at Kobe Jones, Coventry City got off to a good start, but then an injury and never found any more playing time, Seamus. Now he's looking for a new club.
Yeah, he is indeed. I think he would like to find it in something of a less rainy climate. Yeah, having grown up in L.A.
See the fouls, nearly equal. And Lalo's trying to get his head on it. The ball from Caligiuri. As Burns gives chase. Good job there by Burns. Keeping himself between the ball and his man, and Winalda. Saw limited time with his new club Bochum this year. Things were a little rough for him. He had some injuries. It's a talented player, Eric Winalda. Yeah. A little eccentric, but a talented player. Crossing ball, the head, and I'll tell you, Harks got a... Well, Harks was trying to point to a corner kick, and it's a goal kick, and it quickly goes across the far side touchline. It'll be a throw-in for the United States.
Well, that's sort of the uncharacteristic sloppiness we saw from Mexico with that pass. But now look, it's a long ball. It should be an easy ball for the defense, really, but Harks surprises them by coming around the back. And John Harks, having played as much in England as he's played, Roger, is used to seeing balls like Kobe Jones just played into the box like that and running under them for heading opportunities. There's John Harks in your screen, son of a Scotsman who played soccer and came to this country and
just became a father himself.
Yeah.
His young son Ian Dangerous ball inside. Jones got a foot on it as Ronaldo will chase it down. What a job there by Eric Ronaldo. Came from far away to gain possession as the man down is Tom Dooley.
Yeah, Tom whacked on the thigh there, I think, by Garcia. He's trying to shield the ball here, trying to get to it, and Hermosillo just body checks him there.
Free kick coming up for the United States as Dooley walks away. Okay, Reyna. Chip it inside and head it out, where Dooley will send it on in, and it'll be a goal kick. Campos will chase it down.
Tom Dooley, who's going to a new club in Germany next year, Schalke, which he's very happy about. It was the club he supported as a young boy growing up in Germany. And when you talk to him about it, his eyes just light up. He's just tremendously excited. They play in front of big crowds there in Gelsenkirchen, about 45,000. And he's really tremendously excited about his next season in the Bundesliga. But he's always also talked about Major League Soccer, so Tom may come back to play in America.
But keep in mind, many of these players on the field today, Mexican and American alike, have played long seasons as Balboa chases this dangerous ball, and Keller comes all the way out to the top of the box to clear it across the near side touchline. And tonight on ABC, start your night with an hour of America's funniest home videos. Then after Lois and Clark, Judith Krantz's Torch Song. That's all tonight on ABC. Roger Twaville, Seamus Mallon, Desmond Armstrong with you from RFK Stadium in our nation's capital. Clear blue skies, temperatures in the high 80s today, and the U.S. leads it 3-0.
It's kind of a made-for-Mexico day, really, Roger. It really is.
No smog, though. I don't see any. This is not Mexico City.
But they're having such trouble getting the ball through midfield. There's no movement off the ball by the Mexican players. Look at 5 players behind the ball, and they're trying to get through the defense, and now they finally find a way around.
Okay, as Lawless gets back and is able to stop it, and Burns will send it upfield. Arts spinning around like a whirling dervish, and Burns will try to find Dooley. Sorber and Winalda gains control. I'll tell you what, the U.S. has been impressive in the midfield area as the offsides.
Well, they have.
Goes.
You know, they've been impressive in 2 ways, Roger. One is in ball possession, and the other is in excellent first-time released passes to set up opportunities in attack. As you look at Alexi Lawless, who cleared a lot of balls out of the area with his head and made some really important tackles in the first half.
I'll tell you what, you look at him and somebody would just, you know, check him out and say, well, you know, maybe he's got sort of a different sort of attitude, but there is no player on this field that's more proud to play for his country, would do anything for his teammates, and works as hard as anyone. That's Alexi Lawless.
Again, Mexican players.
And you know, Seamus, it just doesn't really matter whether your hair's long or you got a beard. It's what's inside your chest. Isn't that right?
Well, he used to march to his own drummer or to his own guitar strings or whatever, and he's making a nice sort of double career here. And in Italy, both as a player.
And we're both, of course, very envious of that head of hair, Seamus. And of course, he's afraid he's losing his hair, so he went ahead and shaved his head. Desmond, can you add something to the hair story, or Lexi?
Well, the hair story really started when he first got to the national team. Boer made him cut his hair for the former national team coach. And so once Lexi scored the goal against England, the historic win that the USA had against England in 1993, Lexi decided to wear his hair very long. But he's a very serious player once he steps across the field onto the grass.
Well, speaking of hair, they used to call Boer the 5th Beatle, you know, with this mop up on top.
Interesting, the respect that Mexico is still showing to the midfielders. We heard from Desmond about the coaches wanting a bit more passionate play out of them, and really we haven't seen much of it. It's really a question of, will the U.S. make a mistake, and Paul Caligiuri just made a mistake there, but they're very slow to capitalize on it. Again, stringing square passes, waiting to get people up, and in this case, John Hart has tracked down his man and given away a corner. But
that was Ramirez over on the far side.
That's right, but that's only the second run Ramirez has made. They need to bring more players forward from the back and forget about the counterattack. They're down 3 goals. They got to put something in the net.
They just touch it in, Bernal. the goal line. Another corner kick over there. Ramirez will set it down. Perón, who's been coach of the Mexican team since '93, his 57th game as head coach. 28, 14, and 14. As Reyna will chase this ball down on the near side and sent across that near side, and a throw in for the United States. Tab Ramos warming up for the U.S.
Well, this is a nice weapon to have come off the bench with a 3-goal lead. Talk about getting a player on who can control the midfield. This is what Tabaré, as I call him, can do. Born in Uruguay, but really brought up in New Jersey. He's putting on this colored top there because he's warming up on the sideline, and the referee does not want him confused with players on the field who are near the sideline.
If he got too close to the sideline, I mean, it could be confusing for the players. What a stop right there by Balboa. That was excellent.
I'll tell you, that was a critical stop by Balboa because Zage was right in behind him and had beaten Burns on the run.
Ambriz will throw it in, and that's one of those little subtle things in this game, Seamus, that the uninitiated sometimes maybe doesn't think much of, but that's just that's great skill shown by Balboa right there.
Very good skill and very good positioning too. Excellent positioning. Again, the U.S. see them backing off. They got 8 players behind the ball here. There's the runner.
Long ball inside, and the shot missed. Luis Garcia was the man, and Balboa was right there with him. So
here's the ball put through. And Balboa, that great stretch. But you can see at the top of your screen that Zage had beaten Burns on the inside. And that's what you don't want to have happen if you're an outside defender. And that's what I said at the beginning, that this man, Balboa, is going to be very important to help support the flank defenders, Burns and Caligiuri, because they may get into one-on-one situations where they need help.
Now, are we seeing more of a defensive posture here, Seamus, by the U.S.?
Well, they're certainly, you know, they're clearly not putting a lot of pressure on up top. Now, if they were really, they would go now and put some pressure on if they were in a high-pressure situation, but they're not. You can see they're making the Mexicans do the work. The Mexicans possess the ball, but they're closing down the passing lanes across midfield, and they just simply have to watch out for forwards who come back. That's the only way to beat this, is to come back and receive the ball.
Zage sends it across the end line. And you saw the shots there. The U.S. very selective, 6 shots and 3 goals. And the corner kick will be taken by Aspie. Casey Keller, his 9th start for the national team, 5 and 3 when he's been in goal. And the shot, and oh, just wide. Reyna got a foot on it as that swerving ball went around Keller. And once again, as Dooley did earlier, Keller with some help from his teammates.
Well, I think Casey Keller has got to be wondering what the heck that ball was all about. It swerved way away from the goal.
Oh, it's off the head of Alves.
That's right. And it looked like it should be no problem, but then Zage got a head on it. And good for Reyna to be on the line.
So Casey Keller with several good saves, and will Casey Keller start again against Colombia? No, Brad Friedel will more than likely get that start. Friedel played in the first game. Casey, by the way, just played in 2 games for the U.S. under-23 team in the Caribbean this month. Got a 3-1 win over St. Martin, and then played in a 0-0 tie with the under-23. And Casey, a long season in England, Seamus. He told me yesterday he played 60-some games. I took a week and went to Maui with his wife with a little vacation. And this segment of the game is presented commercial-free by GTE. Roger Twytle, Seamus Mallon, Desmond Armstrong throw in on the far side with John Hartz. There's Brad Friedel, who played well against Nigeria.
Well, it's interesting to have Hartsey making the run there, not quite getting to it, but it's interesting now to have this kind of competition between Keller and Brad Friedel, because I don't think that really has existed for the last few years. I mean, Tony Meola was pretty much #1. He was the captain, and Casey Keller was in another country. And Sampson has been the one to bring Keller back, and certainly it's looked awfully good today as he's working on the shutout at this point. And, but a good defense in front of him, too.
The assistant coach, Claude Charles, for Steve Sampson, Casey Keller's college coach at the University of Portland. chases it down.
Yeah, the other thing, there's Clive Charles in the middle. Clive was also an announcer during the World Cup, as you remember.
And Skocic, who's the keeper coach. Clive, fine player in his own right, is now, once again, Zagay gets it in the middle. Dooley back there defending, tripped up, and boy, Hermosillo was in great position that time and just couldn't finish. And Kobe Jones battling on the near side, and Bernal with his hands out. What did I do?
Yeah.
What did you do? You got a yellow card, Kyle, is what you did.
Bernal is a rough, tough customer. I've noticed him many years playing for Mexico, and he very often is the one who gets away with stuff. But look at this. Well, there's a good play by Dooley covering up. Excellent play by Dooley in the first place. Now watch the end of it as Kobe Jones beats him on the pace, and he swirls him around and then bumps him over. Definitely a yellow card, but excellent play by Dooley.
There's the United States with one yellow card down on Ronaldo. Mexico now with two. With two yellow cards to the same player in the game. He is expelled from the game, as Clovis was in the game against Nigeria. And what a great job the United States did at the end of that game.
That's right. You know, it's another thing occurs to me. It is hot out there today, but you would think the U.S. team would be really hurt more by that. So they may take a little pace off their game a bit just because of the heat, whereas Mexico is used to this kind of thing. But the Mexican players have also gone through a long, long season, and they have just finished their playoffs. So there's not been much rest for them as they warm up some players on the sideline.
Now, 3 substitutes allowed in the game, plus you can substitute for the goalkeeper. Desmond Armstrong, could you tell a difference in the U.S. practices under Steve Sampson than, say, under Bor Milutinovic? As the shot from outside by Harks, and just wide, but in the style and substance of practices?
There's been a considerable difference in the way that they've trained. They've had one training per day. Under Bor, it was 2 a days. Now they feel very fresh when they come to an international game.
Well, there you go, Seamus. 1 a day instead of 2 a day makes a big difference in how your legs feel.
Another foul there by Bernal, who's skating on pretty thin ice. We look at Campos. Campos, by the way, was moved up to center forward in the game against Chile because he's a scorer. He played the first half of the season in Mexico as a forward. Now, of course, today he's a goalkeeper.
Free kick, Caligiuri, and headed out of the box by the Mexican side. Sorber will chase it down. I'll tell you, Sorber has been a rock in the middle today. He doesn't get moved. Dooley off the head, and Lawless with the volley over the top. Why not?
Well, you know, there's Mike Sorber, who's had lots of good experience playing in Mexico. It's been a great job for him, a great experience for him. He's been living also in Bor Milutinovic's house, by the way.
Playing for Una
in Mexico, and playing for Una, the same team as Jorge Campos has been on.
Well, he was a real favorite of Bor's. As it's cleared across the near side touchline, and the United States will have the throw in. Into the 20th minute.
But what I was getting at is you're allowed a substitution for your goalkeeper. But what if your goalkeeper becomes a center forward?
Well, then you just let everybody else go back there.
Some discussion at midfield here about coaches' comments from the Mexican bench upsetting the referees. Referees, of course, Spanish-speaking from Costa Rica, have no trouble understanding the nature of those comments.
Another throw-in upcoming for the United States as Jones try to thread the needle, get it inside to Harks, and it's headed across the end line. It'll be a corner kick for the United States. Not a good play by Vidrio there, as Ronaldo will take the corner.
Well, they've yet to find Lexi Lawless. Maybe this will be the time they can get a ball to Lexi's head on the corner kick.
Well, they go across. Harks, saved by Campos. Oh, they used that time Lawless as a decoy in the middle, and they went over the top, and Harks had a clean shot at it.
He had a clean shot at it, and he almost found Lawless again in front for a little flick on. Look at this low-angle shot here as the ball comes way over the top. And here's this powerful header by Harks. And you see Lawless. In fact, I think he got
a piece of it?
I think he got a piece of it, yeah. And Campos in good position to save. Campos needs a couple of good saves here. His reputation has not been done too well by this game, although I'm not sure he could have done much about the first 2 goals. The third goal, he probably should have done something better with the first shot.
Sorber takes it back in midfield, and I'll tell you what, Steve Sampson laid out a game plan to me yesterday. It was take Ramirez out of the game, neutralize him, be solid and control the ball in midfield, and push forward and be cautious on the back line. And they have done everything so far today that their coach wanted them to do.
Yeah.
Ramirez has just one shot today as Ronaldo chases the ball down.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, though, because that's kind of almost a reckless chase, because the players behind him from Mexico were not being marked up by Americans, so it was an easy outlet, and he's used up some energy in trying to stop that.
Now Ramirez trying to send it in the box, and Balboa gets a foot on it, sends it across the end line. It'll be a corner kick coming up for Mexico, and
Espinoza about to come in.
Misael Espinoza, number 15, getting ready to check into the game for Mexico. The short ball to Ramirez on the corner, and Keller comes out high and grabs it. Got a bit of a shoulder from Hermosillo, and Tav Ramos getting ready to check in. Ramos playing down in Mexico after recovering from that devastating injury, the fractured
Wonder if who they'll take out for Tav Ray at this point. Ronaldo's had such a good game.
Oh, nice on to Reyna. Reyna, the shot, the score! USA! Claudio Reyna!
Well, Claudio Reyna is the essence of cool. Absolutely amazing. First of all, credit to Eric Ronaldo for leaving this ball run through. A very unselfish decision by Eric. And Jorge Campos can't believe he's had to fish the ball out of his own net 4 times against the United States. And he's pretty embarrassed, but there's nothing he could have done about that one. What a fabulous finish by Claudio Reyna. You'll see it coming through here. And Reyna taking his time, pulling the goalkeeper to his left, and then firing it into the bottom right-hand corner, right into your living room.
Oh!
Right into that mini cam in there. Fantastic.
I'll tell you what, Seamus, I don't know if it's the year since the World Cup. It doesn't seem like, and guess who's coming out? Reyna's going to come out, 2 assists and a goal today, and this will be a defining moment in the career of this young man, Claudio Reyna. So much expected of him, and today he delivered big time.
He sure did. He was, of course, a big help before the World Cup. There's Tav Ramos with his first foul. He was a big help before the World Cup.
Well, it's the first time Tav's played since fracturing his skull in that game against Brazil for the national team.
Yeah, that's true. But Reyna got injured before the World Cup in training, which was a huge disappointment for soccer fans and for the national team, because they really did think he would come on and play an important role, and that role was taken away from him.
Let's go down to Desmond Armstrong. Desmond, I'm down here with Claudio Reyna, just having scored his goal coming off the field. It has to be a homecoming for you, well-fitting. You're playing back in an area that you're very familiar with. How do you feel your performance was?
Yeah, I'm really excited, you know, not just for the 4-0 win, but our team is playing really well, and you know, it's a team effort. You know, everyone's doing really well. I'm really glad that I scored and helped the team, because that 4th one really put the pressure on them. But you know, I'm really excited to be back. I went to school 2 hours away, and it's kind of rewarding, I think, to be around here and score a goal.
I think so too. Congratulations. Back to you, Roger.
All right, Desmond. Of course, Claudio went to University of Virginia, led them to 3 straight NCAA titles, 91, 92, and 93. And the United States with a 4-0 lead over Mexico, and Harks chips it back to Sorber in the middle. You know, Seamus, I was about to say, is the United States now looking to get one more? Ronaldo trying to go up top, and here's Kobe Jones. The confidence level that Steve Sampson has instilled in these players, that I believe in you. I believe you can go forward and try to score goals, yet I'm not so concerned that something terrible is going to happen on the other end if you just take care of business.
Right, yeah, keeping their shape of the back, as he puts it. But this is, I got to say, this is a stunning result, because this is virtually the same Mexican team with a couple of changes that beat Ireland, that gave Italy such a hard time in the World Cup.
Played Bulgaria and Italy to tie.
And they just came apart. Yeah, just came apart against Bulgaria. And they're horrible in penalty kicks. They just never win matches in penalty kick situations.
And John Kerr Jr. getting set to check into the game.
I think for Ronaldo. Yeah.
Yeah. Good move. Winalda with a yellow card today. No sense. I'll tell you, Winalda made a lot of things happen today. And look at him, playing to the crowd. So Eric Winalda, job well done today, and John Kerr Jr. will check in. And a well-deserved rest for Eric Winalda, as Kerr will take his spot in the game. Kerr plays for Millwall, teammate of Casey Keller, and Kerr had a nice goal against Uruguay in that 2-2 tie in Dallas. And let's check in with Desmond. Mexico City.
Eric, it was a great game. You had an assist on John Hark's goal. How do you feel about today's performance?
Well, as everybody knows, Mexico against America is always going to be a hot battle, and I think we have to say that we're paying them back for what happened in Mexico City, Des, and it feels really good.
It feels really good.
Oh,
congratulations.
It feels great. Thanks.
Thank you, Roger.
What he's talking about is a pretty humiliating loss the United States suffered down in Mexico City, 4-0, I think it was, too. So there's a certain symmetry to all of this, and this guy is working on his shutout to keep the 4-0 going. Mexico making a change. Del Olmo is coming in. Joaquin Del Olmo, very experienced midfield player from Club America. And Zake is going off. Here is Joaquin Del Olmo. Very talented midfield player.
Immediately on the throw, Espinoza was all over the back of Kobe Jones.
Well, Eric Winalda, I got to say, I'm glad we had a chance to hear his views, because he's also a very spirited pro-USA soccer player.
Yes.
And it's, you know, he's quite happy to say how he feels. But he really contributed nicely to that goal by Reina.
Beautiful.
By stepping, by letting that ball to go through to Claudio.
We saw the same thing on the winning goal against Nigeria, where Dooley stepped over the ball to let Jones have it.
That's
sort
right.
of a decoy. And I mean, those are moves, Seamus, you just didn't see 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago for the United States team.
No.
These are moves, and this is confidence that these players have picked up by playing at a higher level, whether it's in Europe, Mexico, and we're starting to see that Americans can be offensive-minded. And I think for so many years, a lot of the coaches that came in just didn't feel that way.
Well, this is a good squad. This is really a good squad. And what they need now, there's a ball for Keller, I would think. What they need now is to build the next generation. Because these guys are not going to be around forever. There's still some young players out there, don't get me wrong, but Tom Dooley is very important in this team. And Caligiuri is 30 years old. And, you know, I mean, there's a new generation that is needed. And that's the next big challenge for the United States.
What does this victory, and of course, since Reina said it's a 4-0 win, I'll go ahead and echo his sentiments, but what does it mean on down the road in Copa America and some of the other events this summer? How does now the world or this region look at this?
Well, it is a message. I mean, when you knock off arguably the power of the region, which is what Mexico used to be, now it's 50-50 between the United States and Mexico as to the power in the region. Okay, the U.S. lost to a weak Costa Rica team a few weeks ago, but I think that was really not representative. However, the Copa America is a real step up, Roger, because it's a very serious competition. This is an important competition up here, but the Copa America has tremendous importance for nations throughout South America, and now they've added Mexico and the USA to compete in that, and that'll be a much more competitive event.
Well, if the United States holds on to this 4-0 lead, they would be 6-4-2 in their last 12 meetings with Mexico. And the attendance today, 38,615. So a good crowd here at RFK. And, of course, the United States against Colombia next Sunday at Rutgers University in the homecoming of many of these players who are from the state of New Jersey, and Alexi Lawless, who attended Rutgers. This segment of the game is presented commercial-free by Budweiser. Roger Twyvell, Seamus Mallon, Desmond Armstrong with you on this Father's Day. And once again, all you dads, hope it's been a good day for you. Good for me, I already got my present. Sent overnight.
Well, I tell you, 4-0 is a pretty good present to fathers who love the game. I look at Brian Bliss on the bench, and I think behind him, Claudio Reina. And here's Tab Ramos fighting for the ball, and I guess fighting a bit too much because the referee is giving a free kick. But I'm very impressed by the tackle Tom Dooley made just a minute ago. 75 minutes into the game, 4-0 lead, and he just still flies in there to break up a dangerous attack in midfield. That's the kind of spirit and ability that this team now has.
4-0. The United States with 3 goals in the first half as Burns takes it away. And then Reyna's goal after the 2 early assists. And it's a 4-0 score against Mexico.
Kerr dispossessed there. Kerr also a local, by the way, goes from Falls Church, Virginia. And his dad very much involved in soccer all his life.
Oh, it looked like a handball. Looked like a handball.
38,000.
Espinosa, yeah.
Yeah. This ball played over Espinosa too far, so he just reaches up a hand and pulls it down. Needs to take a few lessons from Maradona to pull that thing off. A bit more subtlety than that.
Seamus, we've talked about the midfield area. We've talked about the offense and the fact that they've moved up and done a good job that way. But there's a stellar, as Kerr takes it inside, some nice moves there. It's tackled away. Ball still in the box. Ramos trying to get a piece of it. We talk about that solidness in the back line with Lawless and Balboa, Caligiuri, and Burns has played well. But, I mean, those guys have been together for a while.
They have been together, and they read each other well, and they respect each other well. And Lexi's game has improved a great deal, too.
Giving chase with Ramirez on the far side.
I tell you, Johnny Harkes is very tired at this point. He's really struggling on the far side.
Desmond? Yeah, you brought up a good point about the back 4. It's not only the back line, but it's the entire team. When you talked about Ronaldo coming off the field, and he said it's a good team effort. Also, Claudio Reyna. It's more about the team spirit that has changed about this team. To really go forward, play attractive soccer, which they've done today, and have a winning attitude.
Well, Desmond, did you feel and did the players feel that you had the offense in you? You had to find somebody that believed that you could play offensive soccer?
It's a good point. We've always believed that we had it within us. It's just a matter of whether or not the coach was able to inspire that offensive player in this team to really go forward and show it to the world.
Well, as Steve Sampson said before the game, he said, you know, maybe we'll take a chance with this offense. Maybe we'll lose a game by trying to accomplish it, but we're going to play exciting soccer because that's what our players want to play, that's what the fans want to see, and that's just the way I'm going to do it. And I'll tell you what, today, perfecto.
Well, John Kerr Jr. chopped down there in the middle of the field. Delomo with the tackle. Delomo had made the run forward, an impressive run forward, as is his style. But the counterattack was going right through his space, so they had to take him down.
Jones, a nice move right there. Kobe Jones breaking inside the box. Campos is out and across the end line. It'll be a corner kick for the United States. That's the quickness of Kobe Jones.
Very dazzling run by Kobe Jones. A great crowd favorite here and in every American stadium in which he plays. And a guy who became even a proud favorite for the little play he got in England.
Next to Valderrama, my favorite hair in the World Cup. Hair with an attitude, Kobe Jones.
Let's see if Lawless is found this time.
Ramos will take the corner and cleared out. Going way in the air is Caligiuri. There's Paul. He's been playing with the LA Salsa in the USISL.
And he's, you know, he's been around for so long that even though he still looks like he's about 23.
Well, he's 31, and if he plays in all the games this summer, he'll get his 100th cap against Argentina on July 14th to become the second American. You know, Balboa, of course, now with his 101st cap, and one of 3 active players over 100. So Caligiuri could join that very select group. And of course, you know all the all-time cap leader, don't you, Seamus?
Oh.
I set you up. Well, I thought, I mean, you're the soccer expert.
I haven't memorized this name.
Majed Abdullah from Saudi Arabia with 147.
And a late entrant into the race.
Yes.
But guess what? Finished first. FIFA recently found that his caps were all legitimate, and he's right up there at number 1.
I think this is
not Peter Shilton.
This is about my 13th or 14th cap myself.
substitute getting set to come in, Coyote. Alberto Coyote.
Another attacking midfield player.
Let's check in with Desmond again.
There's a confusion in terms of how many subs were allowed for this tournament. Actually, the rule is you have 3 substitutions plus 1 goalkeeper, but the Mexican side believes that there's 4 substitutions and a goalkeeper, which would make it 5.
Well, that explains their confusion over the lineup before the start of today's game.
Yeah, I don't know how they got that confused. It was pretty clearly laid out. At least it was when I saw the rules. But there, Bernsey makes a mistake, gives it up.
Well, it's not many games that the U.S. national team has played where with around 10 minutes left to go, Seamus, they can sit back and enjoy a 4-goal lead against a quality opponent like Mexico.
No, it's not. I don't think it's ever that I can remember. And this rivalry with Mexico goes back to 1934, so it's 61 years old. But as you pointed out, in the last 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden that huge gap has been narrowed, and the USA and Mexico is now no longer a sure thing. It used to be a given. I mean, you always said, who will qualify? Who will qualify from the CONCACAF area? Mexico and who else? Now it's
Maximum of 4.
USA and Mexico.
Maximum of 4 is 3 plus 1. 4 including the goalkeeper. 4 including 3 plus 1. 4 including 3 plus 1.
Well, they're going to get that resolved. The 4th official over there, Paul Tamburino of the United States, trying to explain it to the Mexicans as Harks has really played a stellar game. You know, he hadn't really trained very much. Seamus, he told me he played some tennis after that surgery on his leg. As the ball taken away down on the goal line area from Ramos.
And a pretty obvious foul on top. Ramos, obvious up here, but not to the referee. You know, hear them explaining to the Mexican officials in English down there the substitutions. Steve Sampson speaks excellent Spanish.
Yes, he does.
Go over and explain it to them. I'm sure they'd love to hear from Steve Sampson.
Absolutely.
At the Mexican bench.
As Balboa clears it out, it'll be a throw-in for Mexico. Well, this will be such a confidence builder for these players as they head into the final game of this U.S. Cup and move on to Copa America this summer. Got a couple of important games at the end of the summer at the Meadowlands. And let's check in with Desmond.
Well, the rule basically is that it was 3 substitutions plus a goalkeeper, but they pulled out the rules and said it was 4 substitutions plus a goalkeeper, which would make a maximum of 5. So they know the rules. The referee adhered to the rules, and they're allowing the sub.
Well, if they pulled out the rules and found it, then that's astonishing because somebody explained those rules all wrong to the media then.
You know what, Seamus? It doesn't really matter because it's 4-0 the U.S. The shot from outside, Ambries took the shot, and Keller has been challenged on 1 occasion in the second half. But he established the tempo early on with a couple beautiful saves, and of course, Dooley in the goal now, saving the one with his left knee.
Yeah, and was it Reyna who cleared one off the line?
Yeah, exactly.
So Reyna had 1 goal line clearance, 2 assists, and a goal.
Over the top of Kerr, no foul, as Dooley, who will take a little vacation out in California, going to go out and see the family that he stayed with when he first came over to the U.S. Well, Desmond, one more thing on the sub. Is he in there yet?
Yeah, I got an answer. The sideline referee said that they were going to allow it, but the referee, the main referee on the field, disallowed and said no more substitutions.
Thank you, Desmond. We're all squared away now. Coyote had to sit back down is the bottom line.
Important thing now for the United States is to just keep calm and not have any injuries here. Now the referee's coming over to dispute this major international incident.
Now they're going to have the liaison, the lady there who is the Mexican national team liaison and translator. course, the referee is Costa Rican, so I'm sure he's well versed in Spanish. And coming out now, Aspe, number 8, and there is Coyote. And now Sampson.
You're short.
Best thing is the clock just keeps running on this, and the United States with a 4-0 lead. And I think Mexico needs to be a little bit more concerned about their next game in this U.S. Cup.
Look at that run. Tom Dooley making his 60-yard run with 4 minutes to go. And he didn't get the ball. He may talk about that after the game.
Jones on the near side. You might notice some spotty areas on the field. They don't really play baseball at RFK anymore, but the women's professional baseball team, which travels around the country playing semi-pro men's teams and some lower minor league teams, had a game here recently, so they had to do some patchwork on the home plate and pitcher's mound, and see the second base area right there. So those areas were a little spotty, but didn't seem to cause the players too much of a trouble. Now Mexico will take on Nigeria at the Cotton Bowl next Saturday. As Burns goes back and careless there for a moment.
Well, he's I thought he was going to head it back on the first chance to Keller because he can play the ball back with his head, but he took a gamble.
And Keller comes out and get it. I mentioned earlier the U.S. playing later this summer, Seamus, up at the Meadowlands in some interesting games.
Yeah, the Parmalat Cup. Parma is coming in from Italy. Of course, an excellent team in the Serie A. The U.S. is going to play there, as are Benfica of Lisbon, a fabulous traditional team, great team from Portugal. And finally, Boca Juniors, the team that we now hear Maradona is trying to join and may join. If that is the case, he still would not be able to play in August because his suspension doesn't run out until September. But those are 3 quality opponents coming up.
Seamus, as we come down to the final few minutes, and there's been some stoppage time, so the clock will continue to run. Can you rate this U.S. performance today with performances of the past for the national team?
Well, I think in the quality of authority that they stamped on this game, it's unlike just about anything I've ever seen. In terms of the level of competition, and it's only fair to point out that, that it's not a Cup America, that it is not the World Cup and so forth, where the level of intensity really comes up tremendously. Those results, the match against Colombia last year, still, to me, ranks as the greatest achievement by them. But this is still an awfully impressive victory for them against a talented side.
It was 1 year ago today the U.S. earned their first World Cup point in 44 years, a 1-1 tie against Switzerland at the Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. The first World Cup game ever played indoors, as Ronaldo with that booming goal, and the World Cup got off to a great start. And so 1 year later, maybe one of the most impressive victories for a United States team in international play. They lead 4-0 against Mexico. And this is the same Mexican team that advanced to the second round of the World Cup and is ranked 13th internationally.
They won the group.
Yeah.
They won the group that was called the Group of Death. Italy, Ireland, Norway. They won that group.
Crowd is on their feet now at RFK Stadium. Shadows cascading over part of the field. Casey Keller made his first start today in over 3 years. As with stoppage time, the clock will run beyond 90 minutes. And Hart's still trying to make a move, and he sends it on down. And he goes, you know what? He says, it's too late in the day. We got too big a lead, and I'm ready to go home because it's Father's Day.
And Kerr. John Kerr making the run around in there, asking for the ball. And Hartsey just saying, no, I think that keeper is out. Maybe I can drift it over him. But he just stubbed his toe. Well, a remarkable win for the United States, you got to say. I mean, certainly 2 years ago, last year was stunning, and the U.S. now trying to make its own substitution.
Jovan Karofsky is trying to check into the game right now. Karofsky, one of our outstanding young players, is a high school student, plays for the Manchester United Reserves. There's a look at him.
Kobe Jones is the one they're trying to get out of the game.
Well, they've got the card up on the side as a corner kick is going to be taken by the Mexican team. Ramirez is 5, touches it back outside. And look at that move by Dooley right there as he got it off his heel. Hart still battling on the near side. And Sampson's going, what about the clock? Where's the clock?
It's a great back flick by Dooley.
That's it.
Coming up here. Look at this. Look at that little back flick out of trouble. Nice little touch of class to end the game.
The United States and head coach Steve Sampson have defeated Mexico 4-0 on a sunny afternoon here in our nation's capital. Their second win in U.S. Cup 95. And we'll return with more from RFK Stadium in Washington, D.C. The U.S. wins it 4-0 over Mexico. Like you, it never quits. Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. The United States Postal Service, we deliver for you. And GTE. With GTE, it's amazing what we can do together. And it's amazing what the United States did today against a top-quality opponent in Mexico. 3 goals in the first half. The clincher by Reyna in the second half, and 4-0 the final. As we take a look now at the standings in U.S. Cup 95, the United States with 2 wins against Nigeria and Mexico, and they will play Colombia next Sunday here on ABC Sports at Rutgers University. And let's go downstairs. Desmond Armstrong.
I have Steve Sampson here with me, the victorious coach. 4-0, Steve. This is more than just a victory for the history books. It's a victorious victory in terms of a moral standard.
Well, I'm very proud of the guys. I think this is a moral victory for the U.S. Soccer Federation. All the guys that participated today, they worked their tail off. And I think they're playing for their coach, and I appreciate that. They gave their best. And, you know, we talked about what it meant about giving our best, and what it meant was playing for each other, and they played for each other today.
This has to be preparation also for Copa America, not just for this tournament, U.S. Cup 95, but also for Copa America. You have to be looking forward.
Well, as much as we enjoy this victory, and we're going to enjoy it for a while, we have to look at the future. And the most important thing is to qualify for France 98. And this is part of that preparation. The tournament in Uruguay next month is also part of that preparation. And then after that, we have two more tournaments. And in January of 96, the Gold Cup, and then the USA Cup 96.
Steve, this is Roger Twybill upstairs. Congratulations on that victory. We talked yesterday about a game plan. You want to neutralize Ramirez. You wanted to control the ball in the middle. You wanted to move forward. You didn't want the other team to get behind you. Things kind of worked out your way, didn't it?
Roger was saying that everything seemed to work out based off of the plan that you had described earlier. Would you say that it was very successful?
I could say that it was real successful. I think, you know, we trained on it all week long. We talked about it. I think these guys really know the Mexican team. You know, 3 of them play in the Mexican League, and that helped out as well. You know, I think that we were tactically prepared, but more importantly, I mean, you can have great tactical awareness, and you can have a game plan, but you have to have the effort, and the guys gave the effort.
You brought up something earlier about the fact that the team is playing more attractive, a little more daring. I think we saw it today. Can this continue?
Well, we're going to insist that it continues. You know, we have to let guys like Kobe Jones, like Eric Wijnaldum, like Ernie Stewart, like Tab Ramos, like Claudio Reyna, and many more. They have to have that freedom to go forward, because you know what? That's what the game's all about, and that's what they truly love.
Desmond?
Thank you very much, and I want to wish you guys the greatest deal of luck for Copa America.
Desmond.
Yes.
One more question from Seamus for Steve.
One more question. You did such a good job defensively in the middle of the field against Mexico. But I
can't hear it.
I know you're having trouble hearing me, but just comment a little bit about how successful you were in preventing Mexico from going forward. If you could ask that, Desmond.
The question was, talk about how much success you had with your team preventing Mexico from moving forward in the midfield. You guys seem to be shutting them down there. You weren't allowing them to get behind you. You had some problems a little bit in the first half on the left-hand side, but you made some adjustments. Talk about that.
Well, Burnsy was struggling with Zage, especially in the air, but all we talked about is Burnsy, just contain him, force him to play back, force him to play square, don't let him turn and face the goal. And then the other thing is that we must have Marcelo Boboto getting there much sooner than what he was in the first 20 minutes of the game. So we made those adjustments at halftime. But I think, you know, the key adjustment was the adjustment the players made themselves. We started off with 4 in the back with a sweeper, so essentially 5. Well, Marcelo Balboa and Dooley made the decision we're going to put another player into the middle of midfield. And that was extremely important because that forced them, once they played the ball down the middle of the field, to force the ball back, and we had pressure to the ball right away.
Very good. Again, congratulations. Good luck in the Copa America. Back to you, Roger.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Desmond. As Lexi Lawless over signing the autographs, the jersey already taken off, the traditional exchange of jerseys afterwards. 7 goals, Seamus, in the last 2 games for the United States.
That's fantastic. It's a great result. And you know what this does, though? It really recaptures the spirit of '94.
Right.
And I think that's what this game does more than anything else. You want to put it in perspective, that's what it does. It gets American soccer back on the front page of the sports section again.
Well, let's go back down to Desmond, who has John Harks. Desmond?
Johnny, a tremendous win, obviously. Oh, go ahead, loosen up. You can celebrate now. It's all about the fact that you won 4-0. How do you feel about it?
Oh, ecstasy. I feel very good. We did very well. The boys worked very hard together. I mean, we got revenge. You know, we came out here and they talk about the competition between us and Mexico in the CONCACAF region, and everybody played their guts out there today. It was a beautiful win.
So you're looking forward now to Copa America. Well, let's not get too far. You have one more game against Colombia next Sunday up in Rutgers. What's the approach for that game?
Well, I think right now all the guys, we've got to relax, you know, try to get our legs up and, you know, take a few days off. I think Steve's going to let us go to the beach.
Well, hold on, that's a good point, because
we got to be very disciplined, because it's a good win today, but we got to be very disciplined for next week.
Well, hold on, let me go back to the beach part, because you are training only once daily now, whereas in the past we used to train twice.
You can remember those days, Des.
I remember very well. So you feel very good in terms of preparation for the game. Feel very fresh?
I think we feel, you know, I'm coming off a long season, but I think the boys are feeling fresh, and the training's going great, so everybody's got...
Well, good luck, and I'll see you in the next Copa America tournament. Back to Roger.
Okay, Desmond, thank you very much. 4-0 the final today, and we'll be right back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Dear
4-0 the final score. The United States defeats Mexico, and joining us right now, former U.S. national team coach, the senior Bora Milutinovic. And Bora, you are smiling because these are your kids out there, and you must be very happy at this outcome, these 4 goals in the shutout.
I'd like to congratulate our players, Steve, public, everybody, for this great performance. Today they play a great game. Also, Casey Kelly, he played first time after I came in Federation here in the USA.
You were a coach of both of these teams, Bora, Mexico and the United States at one time or another. Tremendous victory for one of your teams, but you've got to be a little bit disappointed with the way Mexico played.
You know, when you win, you need to think only in your team, but we need to be happy how Casey play, how Reina play, how Sorber, Hart, Ramos come back after some time, Marcelo, Lazo, all team play today very good. This is more important for us. That's to know how the Mexican team play.
Bora, it's always been good being with you. Best of luck in the future. We know you'll be coaching, and we will see you again very soon. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much. One more time, congratulations our player. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Okay, Bora. Thank you very much. And let's go downstairs to Desmond Armstrong right now.
I'm here with Casey Keller. A tremendous game and a nice return for you to come back to the national team, having won 4-0. How do you feel about the performance of the team and yours personally?
Thanks, Des. It's great to be back. The team played extremely well in front of me. Thomas Dooley made a tremendous save off the line at a very crucial moment. Lex, Marcel, everyone in the whole game just played absolutely tremendously well, and I'm just very excited about it.
And there's a save by you right there. Pushes it far. to the far post. How was the communication back there? You haven't been with the team for 3 years now. Was it very receptive?
Well, it was so loud out there. The crowd was tremendous. It was so hard to hear anything. And they played extremely well. There wasn't much for me to do.
Do you know whether or not you're playing next Sunday? Has it been announced yet?
No clue. I don't know what's happening at all. I'm just happy to be back with the team and able to be in this tremendous occasion.
Well, again, congratulations and good luck to you in Copa America.
Thanks. Happy Father's Day.
All right, Desmond, thank you very much. And I think that's the attitude maybe that everyone was looking for from Casey Keller. He's just glad to be with the team and to be a part of it. And I'll tell you what, they are very glad that he is here. 4-0 the final score. Let's check out Seamus. This is Roy Wagerly from Reyna.
And a magic day for Claudio Reyna, setting up this beautifully crafted ball for Wagerly to do what he does so well, which is to finish. And then again, this Dooley bursting in from the left side, knocking his defender out of the way and burying it in the near corner with the outside of the right foot. Just a classy, classy finish. And again, the same side, all this trouble from the left side. A good little deke in there by Winalda, the shot on goal. Campos coughs up the rebound in front, and Harksey beats his man to it with that great little extra New Jersey push that Johnny Harks has got. And then there's this worm's eye view of this fabulous shot by Claudio Reyna, pulling the goalkeeper to his left and then burying it in the bottom right-hand corner, right smack into the camera. Just a tremendous fourth goal by Claudio Reyna, who just had a career game today.
Well, this was a game today. The United States and Steve Sampson made a statement, and I just think it's going to be very hard for the Federation, if results continue like this, to not look at Steve Sampson very seriously as the national team coach or a big part of it. The worst thing that can happen to Steve Sampson is he gets a job as head coach in the MLS, and maybe they come back to him in a couple of years. But obviously, there is something that's clicking between this coach and this team as we look at the United States with 2 wins, and they will, of course, play Colombia next Sunday, and that'll be a terrific game.
Great rematch from last year. So what a fabulous way to finish up this tournament with the USA against Colombia. Regardless of what Colombia does in their match on Wednesday, that one is going to be one you won't want to miss.
Once again, that's coming up next Sunday from Rutgers University, a homecoming for Alexi Lawless and, of course, many New Jersey kids who will play on this U.S. team, 1 Eastern, 12 Central and Pacific. So the United States with the victory over Mexico, 4-0 here at RFK. For Desmond Armstrong and Seamus Mallon, I'm Roger Twibell. Thanks so much for being with us, and we will see you next Sunday.
Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports, top gymnasts go head-to-head as we begin coverage of European Cup gymnastics. Plus more action from World Mountain Biking Championships. Now stay tuned for your local news and World News Sunday over most of these ABC stations.